and welcome back. I want to say up front that this video is pretty late. It's about 7 days late. The video that I'm going to be talking about today came out literally a week ago, but it's important to me that I get it out. Today we're going to be talking about Never Hike in the Snow, which is the highly anticipated prequel to Never Hike Alone. Both of these are Friday the 13th short films directed by Vincent DiSanti. This is me and him at Horror Hound last year. He's a pretty good guy, and he has a lot of passion for the Friday the 13th franchise. And before I get any further into this reaction or review, I do want to issue a huge spoiler alert. I thought about doing non-spoiler, but I just don't think I can not talk about some of the crazy stuff that are in this short. So if you haven't seen Never Hike in the Snow, I highly recommend you just stop this video now and go watch it, and then maybe come back. So with Never Hike in the Snow, through the promotional material, we meet Mark Hill, who's a young man who's out in Camp Crystal Lake, like, taking photographs. I thought he was going to be the main character, honestly, but we open up on him running from some unforeseen horror, which is obviously Jason. And then when Jason steps into frame for the first time, he has a bow and arrow. So we actually get to see Jason shoot an arrow from a bow at someone and make contact. So our wounded Mark starts like crawling off into the snow, and you're like, he's the main character, he'll be alright, he'll make it, he'll pull through. And then all of a sudden, bam, he gets whacked. Like, in the worst way possible. So Mark is essentially gone from the get-go. From there, we get into the main piece of what the story is. We have returning Friday the 13th alumni Tom Matthews, who played Tommy Jarvis in Friday the 13th Part 6, and Vincent Gustafaro, which I'm sure I'm destroying his name and not saying it right, but he played Deputy Cologne in Part 6. He's now Sheriff Cologne. Tommy Jarvis wants to go back out into Camp Crystal Lake and do away with Jason for good. And he wants to warn everyone that Jason's there and to stay away from the area so no one gets hurt. Sheriff Cologne, on the other hand, wants to stop everyone from even knowing that anything is happening. He doesn't want his county or his city to be terrified because this masked killer is on the loose once again all these years later. Those two kind of come head-to-head on their differences just like they did back in Part 6, which is a pretty cool callback. And we get a point where Sheriff Cologne actually goes to Mark Hill's mom to tell her that he's missing. And we get something that we don't really get in a whole lot of Friday the 13th movies, and it's kind of real. It's real emotion. His mom is obviously upset that her son is missing, and you feel it. Like, you just feel it in your chest. You're like, oh man, that's not good. You know, like, Mark seemed like a good kid. I'm sure he got all A's in high school. But Jason doesn't care about that. Jason just does what he does best, and he moves on. And that actually makes me think that this version of Jason is kind of just like this tormented ghost almost. Like, that's his curse, if you will, is like he has to live forever. And he has no choice. He just has to keep killing people. Even when he dies, he just gets back up and continues to kill people if he wants to or not. And we've never necessarily had a confirmed supernatural Jason. There's been a lot of hints at him being supernatural in past films. But I feel like Vincent DiSanti is going pretty far to show that this version of Jason is, in fact, supernatural. There's a scene when he's in his cabin and he's looking at a picture of himself that was taken by Mark earlier. He crushes the camera like it's a paper bag and just throws it on the floor. As he goes to leave, you hear a disembodied woman's voice, and you're immediately like, well, that's Pamela Voorhees, that's his mom. He turns around, and there's this apparition of Pamela, and she talks to him, and he goes down to his knees, and she goes to take his mask off, and he kind of looks away. You know, he's obviously ashamed of his appearance. She says, "It's okay, I'm not afraid."
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
And they do this awesome transition from there where she goes to take his mask off, and when she does, it's no longer the full-grown, completely deformed and dead Jason. It's 12-year-old Jason. So he looks like a normal kid, just, albeit deformed. He's just being motherly and telling him he's so handsome and everything. And it's a really cool moment. You're like, wow. For me, it came out of left field. I was like, I didn't think they were going to go this way at all, and they did, and it was super cool. Another really cool supernatural type scene, Jason's actually in his cabin on his knees in front of the altar to his mother. A deputy comes in, and we actually get to see some of this through the deputy's body cam, which is actually pretty cool to me. Speaking of which, on his body cam, when I was watching it, I noticed his name was Officer Mabry, which could be a shout out to Mabry Monsters, the mask making company, which, if it is, cool little shout out. The officer approaches Jason, tells him to put his hands in the air. Of course, Jason's not having any of that. He approaches him, and the candles in front of Jason just suddenly go out, and it's pitch black in the room. And then the candles come back on, and you can see again, and Jason's gone. Just gone. You know, there's no way this, like, huge hulking man could have walked past this police officer, right? And the officer turns around, he goes to leave the cabin, and then we get this sweet-ass jump scare where Jason grabs his shotgun and blows his face off. It was a really sick practical effect, and, yeah. Not a whole lot of people use practical effects anymore, so it was really cool to see that. It's kind of, I think it's a blend of CGI and practical effects, but it looked really good. The gist of it, this has probably been more of a recap than a review. I apologize for that. But otherwise, like, the cinematography in this film is top notch. Like, this looks like it belongs on the big screen. It has unique concepts. It has interesting kills. It's just a really well-rounded project. You can tell a lot of heart and love went into this thing. And I will continue to support it just like I did with Never Hike Alone. I think most people's biggest complaints about this one is it's short. It was 30 minutes long compared to Never Hike Alone, which is about an hour. To that I say, yeah, I would have liked it to be longer, but it makes me want more. You know, like, if I have to wait another year to get another 30 minutes or another hour, because they're making like 3 more, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is awesome. That gives me something to look forward to. Like, I can't wait to see more installments in this series about Jason, this version of Jason. This is the most invested I've ever been in Jason Voorhees, and I'm a huge fan of Friday the 13th, but this is hands down the best version of Jason you'll ever see. So, once again, if you haven't seen Never Hike in Snow or Never Hike Alone, go ahead and get off this video and go over to Womp Stomp Films YouTube channel and give it a watch. You're not going to be disappointed, I promise. Guys, that's enough of me talking for now. I just wanted to get this out there because these guys, it is a fan film. It's crowdfunded. They had to reach out to fans. I supported it and backed it because, you know, of course, I want to see more of this. I want you, if you're a fan, to support them in the future, and so they can keep making more of this content. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. Hope to do more reviews in the future. Till then, I'll see you next time.